Here are 23 new shortcuts that you requested. Search for movies and TV shows and add them with a link to stream to your Apple Notes. Change how your Apple Pencil functions per app. Create a new contact from taking a picture of a business card. Get a new wallpaper every morning that matches the season. And if you wanted to use visual intelligence but don't have an iPhone 16, there's a shortcut for that too. And many of these shortcuts come from my community, which you can visit at create.beard.fm, sign up completely for free, and you can join over 800 people who are in the community already. And if you support the community and my channel with $5 a month, you get access to priority shortcuts request, which thank you to over 200 people who have supported there. And you also get access to my Shortcuts GPT, where I custom trained it on several APIs, and it's going to get better over time. So join for free and support the channel at create.beard.fm. And now, let's build some shortcuts. First up, I had a lot of people ask me to add TV shows to my ultimate movie reminder list. Well, I did exactly that. I'm going to put links to these two shortcuts along with everything else down in the video description, so you can just download and use for free. But you can either choose to add movies and TV shows to notes or reminders. And when you run this shortcut, it'll ask if you're searching for a movie or TV show. And now you can do TV show. Let's search for something well-known like Breaking Bad. Choose from the list of TV shows that came up, and it's going to show you where you can stream those shows. Tap and hold on the streaming icon where you want to stream it, and tap copy. And then when you hit done, this is going to create an Apple Note with that link and the show poster. And here's that note. It says where it's streaming, the link directly to that show on the streaming service, and the show poster right there. And if you prefer it in reminders, just download that shortcut down below. Next, someone asked if they could actually have the commute and travel time to work said from their HomePod when they're leaving. Now, you should be able to run this shortcut by shouting this command to your HomePod. You can just say, "Hey Dingus," and the title. But if that doesn't work, I've set up this shortcut where it will actually send the message as an intercom, and then you can choose whatever HomePod you want to send it to here. I have a few HomePods in the house. So just remember to choose the right one there, and then you can have this shortcut as a widget or even run it from your Apple Watch. Also, be sure to change this location here to your work location. I have it here just as a random restaurant, but when you run this, you should hear it on my studio HomePods.
Good morning. It will take you 24 minutes to drive to work today.
I added the weather in there. You can also do things like add your calendar events and upcoming reminders, and have some shortcuts later in the video that do that. Next up, a few videos ago, I created this shortcut, which will actually get a transcript from a podcast and then add it to Apple Notes where you get a summary. Now, I had some specific requests like adding Diary of a CEO and on-purpose shows. If you have any other podcasts you'd like me to add so you can choose from this menu, let me know. But you can download the shortcut now, and when you run it, you choose which podcast, it'll get the latest episode, and then attach the audio and transcript to Apple Notes. Now, you may see an error when running this on your iPhone or iPad. If you have a Mac, I would actually recommend adding the shortcut here, and when it runs on the Mac, it doesn't give you that error, and it works pretty consistently. I just ran it with the latest Decoder episode, and as you can see here in Apple Notes, I have the Decoder audio right here. I actually get the full transcript of the podcast, and if you have Apple Intelligence on your Mac, you can click that summary button, and you can get that right here in Apple Notes without even having to send it to ChatGPT. And there's the summary right there, and you can click the three dots and then copy it, and then even paste it directly in the note if you want to be able to refer to it later. Next up is a comment from Tebow on YouTube, and they wanted the Apple Pencil to do different things based on the app. So I created this shortcut here, and what it does is gets the current app that's on screen for your iPad, and then it has if statements. So if the current app is, and I chose 3 apps where you might want to play and pause what you're watching. So for instance, I have that shortcut here on my iPad. I'm going to go to the settings, then down to Apple Pencil. Then under the squeeze gesture, you can choose to have it run a shortcut, and I choose which shortcut here. I'm going to choose the Apple Pencil pause shortcut, and if I'm in apps like YouTube or Netflix, it should then pause what I'm watching just by squeezing the pencil. So let's say you're watching a video, let's say on this channel, which you should definitely subscribe. I'm going to take my Apple Pencil, run the squeeze gesture, that shortcut's going to run in the background, you saw it quickly show up at the top, and it paused what I was watching. Squeeze again, and then it started. Now, if I'm on my home screen or in another app, I can squeeze the Apple Pencil, but it's not going to pause because it will only do it in those certain apps. Then you can go back into the shortcut, add additional if statements with other apps, and change what your Apple Pencil does around your iPad. Next up, Elliot in the YouTube comments wanted to be able to toggle connectivity, but choose what to toggle. So what I've done here is create a shortcut. It actually starts with a plain text list. It splits that and then allows you to choose which things like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth you'd want to adjust. It combines the results in a single text block, And then I have an if statement where if it detects words like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, then it will just toggle those particular connectivities. Now, one thing you do have to do before you run it, if you want to toggle cellular, here under the cellular action, be sure to tap here and choose the cellular plan you want to toggle. This would also be useful if you have multiple SIMs connected to your single iPhone. So now I'll run this shortcut. Let's choose Wi-Fi and cellular, tap done, and both of those should now be toggled. You saw it turned off there. And if I go to Control Center, you'll see Wi-Fi and cellular are now off. Now if I run this shortcut again, I'll choose Wi-Fi, cellular, hit done, and now it'll turn both of those back on, and you'll see Wi-Fi came back on and cellular, and this allows you to toggle whichever ones you'd like, and this will be great in a widget or on the Today view. Someone else asked in the comments to automatically start recording a voice memo at a certain time of day. Well, I'm going to go to the Automations tab here in Shortcuts, tap plus, time of day. Let's do this for 2 minutes in the future at 1:45. We want this to run daily, run immediately, don't notify when run. We'll hit next, new blank automation, and then we can search for voice memos. Choose create recording, and for the name, you can either title it, or if you want it to change every time, having the current date, maybe the date and time, that might be a nice way to keep track of them. I'll hit done, and now when the clock hits 1:45, a new voice memo will just start recording automatically. You'll see the voice memo started recording right away. It's now recording in the background, and it's on me to stop it. And you'll see the voice memo was titled with today's date and time. Number 7, Gregory wanted to be able to add YouTube videos with the title and link to an Apple Note. So what I did here was add a shortcut to the share sheet. So if you download this, you should be able to find it whenever you tap the share button. It gets the name of the video and the URL, and then it appends it to a note. Now I've titled the note YouTube Video Saves. You can change what note it's titled there, or you can create a new note per video. So let's tap share while we're watching a video. Unfortunately, YouTube makes you scroll over and tap more to get to the default share sheet. But now I'll run my save video to note shortcut. It runs in the background, barely notice it. If you have the dynamic island, you do see it up there, which is nice. So I'll be honest, I just tried a bunch of different ways to get the name of the YouTube video. And for some reason, YouTube is just really difficult to get the title. So sometimes it just says YouTube, sometimes it'll just have the link doubled. So the shortcut I have in the video description is the best I could do right now, but I'll keep working on it so I can get the title of those videos saved with the note. This next one comes from Pablo, and he has an automation whenever his phone connects to his car Bluetooth to set the brightness on his device. But if it's during the day, he wants it at 100, and if it's at night, he wants it lower. This way it's not crazy bright in the evening. But he wants it to change based on the sunset time. So what I have here is a shortcut that gets the sunset time for today, formats that in a military hour, like 1 to 24 style number. And if the time is before sunset or less than the number of that, it will set the brightness of the device to 100%. So if that number is greater and it's in the evening, it will set the brightness to 30%. And then this brightness by time of day, you can just run this shortcut as part of an automation. When you tap the plus icon to create a new one, you can choose when your car connects to CarPlay, or if you don't have CarPlay, you can just do when your phone connects to your car Bluetooth device, run this immediately. You do have to be connected to your car in order to see it in the list here. I'll just choose my AirPods for now. And then when you go to Next, New Blank Automation, just choose Run Shortcut and search for that brightness by time of day that you downloaded from the video description. This next one comes from Adam, and he wanted to be able to add a contact by taking a picture of a business card. Now this one is going to vary depending on the kind of business card that you're taking a picture of. But what it will try and do is start by taking a picture. That photo will just be used for the shortcut, so you don't have to worry about deleting it later. It extracts text from that photo, also gets phone, email, and addresses from the photo, and then tries to parse it out, and then we'll create a new contact based on that information. So let's run this shortcut. It's going to want to take a picture. I'm going to take a picture with this business card information. I'm going to tap Use Photo. It's going to try and parse out the information. I'll choose the name here. It automatically splits it into first and last. And then you can choose whether you want the person's title or their business added to the contact card. I'll choose his title here, and then you'll see the Contact Compose window. It parsed the name, put his title there, added whatever phone numbers it found in the photo, plus email addresses, and while it can't add the address in the address field, I had all that information also saved in the notes down here, so if you want to add that or parse out any website URLs, you can do that here. Tap Done, and now they're in your contacts. Next, Greg from my Shortcuts community wanted a focus to be enabled at a certain time, but only if he's at a certain location. So I created this shortcut, and you could use this in several automations. The one thing you want to change is it's going to get your current location, and then if, and you want to choose the street name for your work. Now you might have to experiment with actually doing the full address or just the street name, but change Main Street to the address you're wanting this to be the trigger, and then it will work for you. And then it's going to turn Do Not Disturb on until you leave that location. Again, if you want a different focus mode, tap Do Not Disturb and choose your focus mode of choice. So it's only going to enable that focus mode if you're at your work location. Then he wanted it to also run by time. So if I go to Automations, tap plus, and it's every day at 9 something a.m. when it starts to work. We want this to run daily and run immediately. Then all we have to do is New Blank Automation, and we'll choose the Only If At Location shortcut. That's our Run Shortcuts command. And now at that time of day daily, only if you're at your work location will it enable your Do Not Disturb focus mode. Number 11, this was a priority request from Greg. Thanks for sending it in and supporting the channel. His wife likes to set alarms in 15-minute increments that go off multiple times before they need to leave. So what I did was created a shortcut where you can quickly choose the time you need to leave. Then it's going to create a bunch of alarms in 15-minute increments going backwards all the way up to an hour and a half. So if I run this shortcut, it's going to ask you to quickly choose the time. So I'm going to choose the hour 9:00, and you choose AM or PM. Then it's automatically going to create all those alarms behind the scenes. If we go to our clock app, we can confirm we have the 9 p.m. alarm, the time we need to leave, and alarms are created in 15-minute increments going backwards. Another priority request was from Jason, and he wanted to be able to get a text message about his dog's tablets until he actually completes that reminder or task. So what I did here was actually created a reminder called Dog Tablets. This is going to help the automation be more consistent. He said it's a monthly task, so right now I have Dog Tablets as the task, and this repeats on the first day of every month. Now you can turn off notifications for reminders, that won't matter, and you'll still get a text message. Because what this shortcut does is in that reminders list, wherever you create that dog or other reminder, the shortcut's going to find reminders that are marked as not completed in the next 30 days. So it should only see the reminder if it's not completed and for this month. Then if there's any value to those reminders, it's going to send a text message, and where you see my name, just tap your contact information and you'll get those automatic texts. I was testing it earlier and it's clearly working. Then what you can do is set this as a daily automation. I would do by time of day whenever you want to get this text message, and then this shortcut will just check every day at a certain time whether or not you've completed that reminder, and it will send you a text message if you haven't marked it as done yet. Another priority request, this is from CJ. He works in Lightroom on his iPad and wanted ways to be able to save from Lightroom directly to a photo album and then have some automations for brightness and night shift based on when he opens and closes the app. So I have a few shortcuts here. The first one, this is a simple live in the share sheet shortcut. And it basically is going to save whatever you're sharing to the album of your choice. Just tap Recents, choose whatever album you would like, and then you can save from any app, but also Lightroom, to a specific photo album every time. That you'll run from the share sheet. Then you also want it to be able to set the brightness, dark mode, and night shift back to the previous state before he opened Lightroom. So I have two shortcuts here. And what you're going to want to do is automate this to run every time you open Lightroom app. You're also going to need a third-party app called Data Jar, because what this does is it gets the current appearance, light or dark mode, gets the current brightness of your screen, and logs that to Data Jar. It's also going to turn night shift off, which is what he wanted when he opened Lightroom, and sets the brightness of the iPad or other device. Now, Data Jar is going to remember the last state of your iPad before you were in Lightroom. Then you're going to create another automation for when you close the Lightroom app. This is going to get that information from Data Jar, set the dark mode and brightness based on what was active previously. Now, night shift is not something that you can pull as information, but what I did here at the end is if the time is before 6 p.m., night shift is going to turn off or stay off, but if it's after 6 p.m., then night shift will turn on. You can change this time of day depending on when you like night shift to activate and whether you want it on or off. And then to set these as app automations, tap the plus icon here under the Automations tab. We'll go down to App and then choose the app. You can choose Lightroom, and again, this will work on your iPhone or iPad. Just remember you need Data Jar installed. I'll put a link to that app down in the description. We want this to run immediately, and then just New Blank Automation, run shortcut, and then search for the Open Lightroom shortcut. There's Lightroom Open, and then do the same thing for when Lightroom is closed, run the Lightroom Closed shortcut. Hopefully that works for you, CJ, let me know. Next up, Nick in the community wanted a shortcut where you can just open a specific album with a shortcut. And unfortunately, Apple actually removed this action with iOS 18. There's no open album action built into shortcuts anymore. You can find photos, you can create albums, but not even Toolbox Pro or the Actions third-party apps gives you the option to just open a specific album directly. The Collections action doesn't let you choose an album. So the best I could do here is the Find Photos action, which is built in. You can choose a specific album. So I choose my Wallpapers album here. You can tap this and choose whatever album you would like. And then it at least allows you to choose from those photos. So if you run this shortcut, it'll pull all the photos from that album. This is where I save all my wallpapers. And then you can add further actions at the bottom. If you want, you can just add the share action, which adds the share sheet. And you can also choose whether or not you want to select multiple or a single photo. I turned off select multiple. So if I run this, I can just choose one of the wallpaper images and it brings up the share sheet. Tap always allow. And then I can do whatever I want with this photo. Not ideal. I know I would rather be able to just open a specific album, but maybe Apple will bring that action back. Next up, I recently created a Recipe GPT, which pulls the text from recipe websites, runs it through ChatGPT to clean it up, and does some other things. There were some errors running this, especially when there were different photos on a web page, so I took out the photo option entirely, and then I added some other actions that someone requested in the community. If you download this, it's now called the Recipe Advanced GPT, and if you're looking at a recipe web page, just tap the share sheet, run the Recipe Advanced GPT. It's going to take a minute because it's getting all the text from the website, sending it to ChatGPT, formatting it, and then you'll see the notes created. It simplified the recipe and ingredients list, and it has that text down here. Unfortunately, I can't get it to format rich text in notes. I tried converting from HTML and Markdown. It just won't do it. So if anyone out there knows, how can I customize the shortcuts so this is actually rich text with like bullets and checkboxes? Let me know down in the comments. Or better place, DM me in the community, create.beard.fm. Next up, Robert in the community wanted a shortcut that created a new note in Bear specifically, that's my note app of choice, has the date in the title, but works with his third-party apps of choice, namely Todoist and Fantastical. Well, both of those apps actually have shortcuts actions. The Todoist actions are kind of messy. It's like showing the raw code, it seems like, but it still works. And so when you run this shortcut, it will create a new note in Bear with today's date as the title. It will get your tasks and events for the day, also ask some questions that you can use when you're journaling, and create that note. When I run this shortcut, it's going to create that note in Bear quickly, and it's going to look like this. Today's date, and I misspelled journal apparently, but it'll also list the events you had today, and you can choose what calendar sets or calendars you want to pull these events from, and also any tasks you had from Todoist. So you may want to customize the calendars it's pulling from and the task list, but you can do it, and this is a good starting point. This comes from Leo from my shortcuts community, and he wants alarms to be on or off depending on his current focus or whether or not he's at work. He said he always has focus modes when he's at work or when he's at home. So what I've done here is it gets the current focus, and if the focus name is work, and remember, if you're building this from scratch, this if statement, it defaults to focus, but you need to change it to name. This way it actually triggers by that focus mode. And then what you can do here is you can duplicate this action. By the way, to duplicate, just tap the little icon, tap duplicate, and then you can choose what alarms that you have saved in your clock app that you're wanting to enable or disable. And you can choose when it's at work, turn them all on, otherwise turn them off. And what I would say to trigger this, if you enable that focus mode every time you're at work or at home, go to the Automations tab, tap the plus icon, and then go down to Focus Modes. Then here, whichever focus mode you use for work, let's say it's just the Do Not Disturb one, you could say, when Do Not Disturb turns on, run this automation immediately, and then all you have to do is do New Blank Automation, run shortcut, and then search for the one you just downloaded, choose the alarm toggle by focus that you could download in the description, and then those alarms will turn on or off based on the focus modes being enabled or disabled. Next, Deliver Quality in the YouTube comments wanted an automation that will search your emails for specific words in the body text, and if it contains those words, to automatically send it or forward it to someone else. I'm going to build this actually in the Automations tab. So for here, I would choose email as the trigger. For sender, you can leave it blank, so any sender. Subject contains, you can choose to specify that or not. Just be sure you choose the right email, maybe your work account. You can choose any recipient and then run immediately. Now you are going to have to do something for the sender or subject contains. If it's the same sender every time, perfect. Just choose them here. But if you're not sure and you want this to run more often than not, just add a space in the subject contains. Most subject lines will have a space, so this should run pretty consistently. Let's do new blank automation. Then I'm going to find the get text from input action. I'm going to do that as the second step. I'm going to choose get text from shortcut input. Then I can tap shortcut input again, and you'll see you can choose from all of the different contents of the email, the subject, the sender. Choosing email is actually the body text of the email. Now I can search for an if statement, and I could say if text, and I'm going to say contains, then type whatever words you would want, maybe any email that has the words monthly report in the body text. Then if you want to forward that to someone, you can search for the send mail action. It's actually called send email, but we'll send email, and we can choose to take out this text part. And if you're wanting to forward the entire contents of the original email, then swipe over and choose the shortcut input. By choosing shortcut input, it's just going to take the email body that received and trigger this automation, turn it right around and send it to someone else. Then choose the recipients or who you want this to forward to, and you can even pull the subject. So if I tap subject, I'm going to choose shortcut input again, but now I can tap that and instead of email, actually choose subject. So now the subject is going to match the email that came into my inbox. Toggle off the show compose sheet, and then this will run without any action on your part. Just make sure you specify the recipient, and then this is automatically going to forward emails with the words monthly report to the recipient of your choice and contain the body text of the original message. All right, Carlos from the community wanted to be able to add an event to the calendar based on taking a screenshot. So this shortcut takes a screenshot, doesn't save it to your camera roll, so it keeps that clean, gets whatever text from the screenshot, then I actually have a ChatGPT prompt here to help clean up what comes from that screenshot. I have it output just the date and time in a specific way, and then it's going to add that as an event to my calendar. So maybe we're browsing Safari, we see a date for like a Hans Zimmer concert, and we want to be able to add this to our calendar. Well, I mapped this shortcut to the action button, so you'll see it takes a screenshot, gets whatever text from that screenshot, sends it to ChatGPT to recognize what it is, and look, automatically created an event with the date, and now I can title it whatever I would want and add it to my calendar. This also had me thinking about creating an entire visual intelligence shortcut for those who don't have an iPhone 16. Well, that's exactly what I did here. The visual intelligence shortcut, it's very short, but it does use a third-party app called AI Actions. This is what the app looks like. I'll put a link to download it in the description. But the reason why I'm using that instead of the ChatGPT built-in actions is because you can't send a photo to ChatGPT using the built-in action. Whereas the Ask AI actually has an expandable menu, and you can do a bunch of stuff, like sending an image to ChatGPT with a prompt here, and changing a bunch of other settings. Now when I run this shortcut, it's going to prompt me to take a picture, send it to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT is going to describe it to me. So I'll run this shortcut, take a picture of Mr. Manatee over here, tap Use Photo. It's going to send that photo to ChatGPT, asking it to describe it. Now you do have to have an API key for ChatGPT, so you need at least ChatGPT Plus, and you'll have to put that in the Ask AI app. But once you do that, I find it runs really consistently. And now we have a little description from ChatGPT of the image. Now I put in the prompt if it's a landmark or business to talk about that. And you can even combine this with the added date from the picture shortcut that I did before. And now this can do almost everything visual intelligence does. I took a picture of the Humane AI pin and it refused to say what it was apparently. All right, last few shortcuts. Someone asked for my wallpaper shortcut, which I created recently. I'll link that video above and down in the description. But this is using Pexel's API to get new wallpaper images and just sets it to your device. But they wanted it to change by the season. So what I did was here, it actually gets the current date, formats it to the name of the month, and depending on what month it is, it will search Pexels for an image and set it as your wallpaper based on the season, summer, winter, spring, or autumn. Now, at the very bottom, just be sure to actually choose what wallpaper you want this to change. I'm going to choose my default wallpaper where no focus mode is activated. And let's map this to the action button so we can see it in action, pun intended. I set it to my new wallpapers by season shortcut. Let's run the shortcut, and because the month is January, it should be a wintry scene. Let's see if it does it. Yep, that looks wintry, but let's try again. And you can run this as many times as you would like, and you're going to get different images every time. That's pretty cool. I'm going to keep it that way. Now you can set that shortcut to run every day by going to the Automations tab, then by time of day. You can wake up to a new wallpaper every day that changes with the season. This next shortcut was a priority request from Fahad, and he wanted to be able to send a WhatsApp message, but choose what's sent automatically, either the location, maybe information from a business card, which he has as an image, or a predefined message. So I started this shortcut with a menu. If you choose location, it gets your current location, and then you can choose whether you want it to pull your city, your state, or very specifically like your street, and it can send that. If it's a business card, I've actually added an image to my Files app in iCloud, and I choose the file action because it's easier to pull it like that rather than from the photos. So I have a file here as the business card image or a predefined message. Now, WhatsApp is kind of limited as far as pulling who you're sending a message to. Some of these don't really make sense. And you also have to choose photo or just sending a plain message. Unfortunately, if you do like the send message action, you can choose the menu result, which will send the location or predefined message, but it doesn't work with images, at least not that I've found. And when it comes to recipients, you can't really choose the last recipient, and there's no way to pull that information out of the WhatsApp app. So play around with this final action. Hopefully you can get it to run how you're wanting to, but you at least have the menu with whatever predefined information you'd like and copy it to your clipboard at the very least. And final request, this is from Jessica from the priority request in the community. She wanted to be able to automate whenever Amazon opens to turn off her VPN. Now, depending on the VPN app you use, she uses Nord, this might be a little different. But if I create an automation, if I scroll down for app, I could say when app is opened, let's choose Amazon. We want this to run immediately, don't notify when run. We'll do new blank automation and then search for the VPN action. Choose the set VPN, and then here, depending on the VPNs that are installed, hopefully you should be able to choose which VPN you want to turn on or off. Then you can also choose to disconnect it, and hopefully that should disable the VPN whenever you open the Amazon app. Then you can create a second automation for when Amazon is closed to connect to that VPN. Again, I'm not sure if NordVPN shows up here or if Nord has third-party actions, so let me know if this works for you, or maybe we can try something else. But those are 23 new shortcuts. It had been a minute, so I had to catch up on a lot of those requests, but keep them coming. You can leave comments below this video, or better yet, go to create.beard.fm, my shortcuts community. You can leave comments in the community shortcuts area, or if you'd like me to prioritize your request, I'd appreciate your support. And you also get a searchable database of my shortcuts, access to my Shortcuts GPT, and even my shortcuts videos without any ads, all in the community. That's all for $5 a month. So that's create.beard.fm. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Keep your requests coming. We'll try to do these more regularly, at least every other week. And if you missed it, I had my top 10 shortcuts of 2024. I'll put that video right up here. And if you wanted more information on visual intelligence, I did an in-depth review, both everything it can and can't do. You can check out that video right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.